My name is Kelly Ryan. I'm a fire apparatus engineer for Omaha Fire Department. I've been on since March of 2008. Currently, I'm the driver at Engine 3, which is down on South 16th Street. I was actually 37 when I got hired, currently 54. I was 53 when the health screening happened, and that led to the quadruple bypass, aortic valve replacement, and fixing a hole in my heart. I guess since the start, I've always been pretty concerned about my health, and I had seen, I think, a poster at one time that said, be the person you'd want showing up at your house, and I took that to heart from day one. So I've always taken my health quite seriously, and anybody on the job that knows me would attest to that. So when this health screening was offered, I didn't even think twice about it, just because I wanted to know where I stood. I thought I was in pretty good shape. I wanted to know for sure because they were doing what's called a DEXA scan, where it measures your body mass, your bone density, how much visceral fat you have, subcutaneous, how much each limb weighs, screening for cancers, and then of course a stress test at the end of the screening, or at the end of the wellness check, I guess. I was on light duty, I think at the beginning, because I had a shoulder surgery in January, and my appointment was May 8th. I remember that because my mother's birthday is May 8th, plus this whole series of events was started on that day, and I'm pretty sure that's a day I'll never forget, of course. There were times where I'd get more winded than I thought I should for the activity level that I was exerting, but I'd also had shoulder surgery and wasn't able to do some of the things that I have been able to do up to that point as far as, my physical activity. So, just like any other guy, I write it off as maybe being a little out of shape, maybe being dehydrated, but not anything near the magnitude as what this turned out to be. My appointment, I thought, was for 8:30 in the morning, and it was actually for 7:30. So I got a phone call probably about 7:45 from Think Health asking where I was, and not me thinking I still had plenty of time. They, thank God, said if you get here by 8, we'll get you in and we'll still make this thing happen. So I showed up and went through everything. The DEXA scan, the chest x-ray, we submitted samples to check for colon cancer, and then of course do other fluids for checking for other cancers, checking for your blood sugar levels. I think triglycerides, all of your blood work, because I had to be fasting. And at the end was the stress test. And about 10 or 12 minutes in, my heart rate was about at 120. And for my age, they wanted to max it out at 150, and then the stress test would be over. After that 10 or 12 minutes, it was still at 120. So they sped up the treadmill. And within another minute or two, I started to get pretty lightheaded. Lights started to go dim a little bit. So I grabbed the handrails, stepped off the belt. Of course, they stopped. They had an EKG hooked up the whole time, but they stopped the test at that point, sat me down, got a little hydration, and then went all over all my results, which everything but the stress test was where I thought it would be. For my age, all the numbers were great. So May 9th, I called May 8th on my way from that wellness check. I called the cardiologist's office, was able to get an appointment at 9 o'clock on May 9th, and then that's what started the ball rolling down the hill. We walked in after the cardiologist reviewed a lot of my information, had a bomb dropped on us. He basically said, you really have no idea how sick your heart is. And my wife was sitting next to me, and it was, we both thought maybe I was a little dehydrated, it was going to be nothing, and it was way more than nothing. So initially he says my heart was really sick, possibly with a dysfunctional aortic valve. So the next day, Friday, May 10th, I was scheduled for the cath lab, and he said, at best, maybe we'll just do a stent and you'll be fine, but we're going to check everything out. For the cath lab, they insert a camera in your artery, and in me it was my right wrist, and he ran it up in and looked at what they needed to look at, and I woke up later in a room, having been admitted to the hospital, and them telling me that I was due for a quadruple bypass, aortic valve replacement, and then what they call a PFO, and it was basically a hole in my heart that creates the heart murmur. Sometimes doesn't disappear, go away after you're born. I woke up in recovery first, and then to the room on the cardiac floor at Bryan Hospital down in Lincoln, saying they were either said they'd possibly do the surgery Friday, which was the 10th, and then Saturday came, and it was possibly going to be Saturday. Sunday came. When it didn't happen Sunday, they said it's definitely Monday morning, so May 13th, I had the quadruple bypass aortic valve replacement, and then the PFO closed while they were in there. It was pretty rough. My oldest son is stationed out in Rapid City, Ellsworth Air Force Base, and the youngest one, Turner Construction. My wife had informed him that the surgery is going to happen. We're not sure when, but it's going to be soon. Their leadership said, go take care of your family. So it was rough. Those 3 days in the hospital, just thinking about what could happen. There were some times my wife and I, of course, hours when we were alone, broke down pretty hard, but still during the whole process, I don't know, I felt confident that I was going to come out on the other side and the surgeon was going to do his thing, and thank God he did. I mean, that guy was doing open heart surgeries all weekend and then comes in Monday morning for another one and worked for 7.5 hours to do, I guess, fix what was going on with my heart. So it was a bumpy ride, but here we are. At least I came out on the other side. I started out the day after surgery. I was able to walk about 30 feet, and next thing I know, I'm in bed taking a nap. And then during the day and during my stay, I was there from the 13th to the 18th. In the ICU, and every day I'd walk about 4 times, and each time it got a little further, but still we're just over 2 months out and doing simple stuff around the house, or just like if I run errands, go grocery shopping, a lot of times I'll still come back, sit down on the recliner and have to recover for an hour, 2 hours, who knows. I mean, yesterday I went and got groceries and came home and took a nap. So I think it's a long road ahead, but it's made me, I guess, realize what's important in my life and how this second chance is one I'm not going to waste. Before my shoulder surgery, they thought they heard a heart murmur, which was that hole in my heart, and that's the reason I had found a cardiologist. But there's probably a pretty good chance that this not happened, that I would have gotten cleared for my shoulder. I just would have returned to the rig and started doing my job again. And then who knows? I mean, it could have happened. More than likely, I would have returned to firefighting activities. And then, with the nature of our job and the level of output that you have to have when it's time to go, it could have turned into something a lot worse. There's a lot of sleepless nights for us, a lot of nights, especially if you get a fire during the night, where you go from a dead sleep and a resting heart rate of probably in the 70s, and then those fire tones go off and your heart rate goes probably to 120, 150, who knows, and you have to go do that physical output at a very high level for, it's usually fairly short bursts, but that's what the stress test was too, and a higher level of output might have led to a heart attack, and that might have been it. You're not Superman. No matter how much you think you are, put your ego in your pocket for a little while. There's a lot of things this job contributes to as far as cancers, cardiovascular disease, chemicals we're exposed to. A lot of the research and that went into the Nebraska Heart and Lung Bill actually proves that, that lack of sleep, your heart rate going from a resting rate to a sprinting rate in a matter of seconds does damage over time. So even the young guys, I think, when this happens, take advantage of it. You need a baseline. That way it's something they can track over the course of your career. And then it's something that way they could hopefully catch this or a similar situation long before it got to where my situation was, because in the 16 years plus that I've been on, this is the first time we've done anything like this. So thank God we did. Thank God I took advantage of it. I think we had a pretty high participation rate, and mine wasn't the only case that was caught. I think mine was maybe the most extreme case that was caught, but they caught some other polyps in some other people, some other, health issues that could hopefully be addressed early on and keep them out of the hospital. Take care of yourself. I mean, you need to be your biggest advocate for your health. Be accountable for yourself. In a lot of cases, nobody's going to do it for you, especially when it comes to taking care of yourself. Be disciplined, be strong, lean on your family. This experience, I know, brought not just our immediate family of my wife and 2 boys, but my entire family way closer together. I've got people I haven't talked to for probably years in my family that now things are a lot better, but it shouldn't be an event like this that leads up to it. Take care of yourself and take care of each other. If you see something that somebody's doing to maybe not take care of themselves, either whether it be a family member or one of your brothers and sisters on the fire department, nobody's going to do it for you. You got to take care of yourself. One of the things we talk about in firefighting is risk versus reward, and whether it's worth it, to go into that house to save the person inside or whatever. If the risk is worth the reward, and there's no amount of money justify not doing this, to me, this saved my life. So I think when you're looking at things, look at the human side. Had this not happened, it would have been a lot worse, I think. I think my family would be mourning the death of, their husband, father, son, brother. So when you think about budget, think about the lives or life you might save just by doing a simple wellness check for the people in this fire department.